2 miscarriages until a miracle baby happened. We're going to talk about that today. Hi guys, welcome to Life with a Diamond. I am Samantha Diamond, and this is Real Life Story Series, where we go in depth with persons about where God has brought them from. And today I'm so excited because we're going to talk about a topic that affects a lot of women, but hardly women talk about it. I'm happy to welcome Mrs. Ashekah Huskisson.
Huskisson.
Let's do that again. Tell me.
Ashekah Huskisson.
Huskisson.
Right.
Listen, this surname is so hard to call. But
I know, right?
but Ashekah, let me go with Ashekah. Mrs.
Yes.
Ashekah, welcome.
No problem.
Welcome to Life with a Diamond.
Thanks for having me.
Like all the other women who I've spoken to, you are a miracle, standing,
Yes.
walking, living,
Yes.
breathing, because of the grace of God. And I'm so happy that you decided to share your story with me. Now I know you can preach. So guys, she has so many stories, but we can only take one for this episode. We're talking about dealing with miscarriages. Not only dealing with miscarriages, but the miracle of a baby, because that's what you experience by the hand of God. So let's start with your love story. You met your now husband, Dylan. I'm not going to say that last name again. In 2020.
Well, it started in December 2013. He messaged me on Facebook, and at that time I was working at a site as a site manager in Wadalabu.
So you're one of those social media love that group.
Right.
Ladies, pray.
It could happen to you.
Oh Lord, look in your DM. So tell us, you started talking on Facebook, and then it grew into a relationship from 2013, greater relationship from 2014, and then he was your boyfriend.
Yes.
You didn't know Jesus then. Then you got pregnant in that same year.
Yeah, 2015.
You got pregnant the next year in 2015.
Yes.
Let me ask you this question: when you got pregnant, what was the feeling like? Did you see yourself? Had you seen yourself before as a mother, or did you think it would just happen? What was the emotion like when you got pregnant?
Well, to be honest, I never really saw myself as a mother, but I know one day this would actually happen because you're living a life.
Right.
So I never really saw myself as a mother, but then it happened. And, I saw myself with this man. I knew that this man, he was the one for me. So I was happy,
excited
to carry his baby because he's such a wonderful soul, And before coming to Christ, I wrote about my husband.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not until recently when I went back to a book that I had written it down. Tears came to my eye because it was the very thing that I wrote that this man is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got pregnant and you were all excited because you loved this man, you wanted to carry his baby. And then you went to the doctor.
Yes.
And that's where things began to change. Walk us through the experience.
Well, when I went to the doctor, they ran some tests. They told me that I had this blood issues. I can't even remember the name of the blood issue. And that in order for me to keep and carry this baby, I would have to take these injections. And also they are going to send me for an operation, a cerclage. Most women who have miscarriages so they would know about this thing. In our terms, local terms, we'll say sewing up of the womb, right? So they told me that if my cervix is short, or if it is short, they will have to do an emergency surgery to stitch up the wounds in order for the baby to keep inside of the womb. Okay, when I heard the price of the injections now, they were $99 per box.
And you
with
had to
two,
use
and I had to take one every day from the time you find out you are pregnant up until birth.
Wow.
So you could imagine the amount of money, you could build two
$100
houses.
in 2 days.
Yes.
Every 2 days.
Every 2 days, $100.
Wow.
That was so much money.
So you find out you did the sewing up of the womb for the
Yes, I
first
did the
pregnancy,
surgery.
and you're taking the injections
As well.
but you lost your baby.
Yes, 4 months into carrying the baby. Well, I had a dream. I was dreaming, and I saw 2 young ladies. Well, I had gotten in a fight with them, and in the dream I saw them, and one came and she hit me in my back with a bottle. And in the dream I woke up feeling it physically. And as I got up from the bed, blood washed out, the baby came down. I was rushed to the hospital, lost that baby 4 months, and it was a boy.
Oh, how did you deal with that? How did your now husband, how did you deal with that?
My husband is a very understanding man. He was there to console me. He was there with me. He was supportive. He was just there for me at that time. I cried, but eventually I had to get over it.
How did you get over it?
Well, dealing with it, mentally, sometimes you would think about it. What if I had my baby right now and he was such a pretty boy? And then my mind. But then after a while, I had just forgotten about it. I just had to put it aside and just decide that, okay, I have to live again. I have to move forward.
What would you say? How much months was it after? I know it would not be specific for everybody, but there might be women who, they went through that and, they find it hard to, because sometimes it feel as if to move on is for you to forget. And then you're like, how could I forget a child that was a part of me? And they feel guilty and they feel, they're feeling guilty to move on and live life. How do women kind of deal with that?
Well, for me, everybody is different and everybody will handle situation differently. But for me, I just knew I had to move on. I couldn't stay there. It was just something in me. So probably if that person out there, they're going through the same thing, you could, probably get up and shake it off and know that it is life and we have to move on. If you are stuck there, you will probably go into depression and this pain, and you probably lead to suicide, and even mentally you might even go crazy. So you have to rise above that and, okay, this is life and I could try again. You have to have that persistent pursuing spirit, in order to move on from things like this, because it's hard. It's a life.
Yeah, it's a life.
And when a child is attached, a part of you, it's something in a mother.
Yeah.
It's from the heart. You feel it. So I could understand, but I had to rise above it.
So you decided to move on, and then you got pregnant again.
Again in that said year.
In that same year. When you found out that you were pregnant again, were you fearful that it would the cycle would repeat itself?
Yes, I was fearful, because I was like, what if this thing happened again? Right? So I already knew the procedure. Okay, they said that I had this blood this year, so I have to go back into taking these injections. But I refused the surgery. I said, not me going back to that surgery again. I don't like it. The feeling is uncomfortable. So I said, you know what? I will take the injections and I will carry this child. Hopefully. But then I got married with this child in.
Oh, you got married to your husband.
Right, I got married. And I lost that child a month after I got married.
And how many months was?
I was 5 months.
So this was 1 month more than the first.
More than before.
Wow.
And he was on a boy again.
Oh my goodness.
2 boys.
Wow.
Pretty sweet.
So now you were in a relationship before, but now you have a husband, a whole husband.
Yes.
That you're even more excited to carry his baby because you have his last name that is hard to pronounce. But now you're carrying your husband's baby. Walk us through that again. Walk us through that. How was it different than the first time?
It was different in the fact that I don't know where understanding came from. But I just came to what I could remember when I came from the hospital. I stood in front of my kitchen door and I said, God, I'm not upset with you. I am not, some people might curse God, why? But I said, no, I'm not upset with you. I was crying. I was feeling pain. It was 2. Second one. And this one, you're even seeing the skin and the color. You're seeing hair. And you're seeing this child before you and dead.
Did you have a funeral? Did you?
Yes, we had a funeral.
Wow.
Yes, we had a funeral. And I had to deal with this again. And my husband again, as I told you before, very supportive. This man was just, oh my God. Yeah, it's only God can hook you up like that.
I receive.
Only God can hook you up like that. Yes.
So you just recently got married. Walk us through the emotional turmoil as a married woman who feels as if you cannot give your husband a child.
Well, for me, mind battles. What if you can't give your husband a child? What if your husband decides to go out and have a child elsewhere? What if he decides to go and cheat? You're here, you're stuck. You can't have children. These mind battles did come. And there were times I was feeling so bad. There were times I was sad. There were times I would sit down and I would cry, especially when I remember my child. But then, because I knew who my husband was, the insecurities, they weren't present.
Okay.
Because I know who he is.
Yeah.
You're with someone and you just know what this person is capable of doing. That was him.
Oh.
So I wasn't really insecure. Even though the mind battles came, I wasn't insecure.
And I guess because he was so supportive of you and whatnot,
right.
that you knew that he would be faithful in the marriage regardless of. Did it cross your mind that this would be life for you, as in life as a couple without children?
Yes, it did.
And were you prepared to have that life?
I wasn't prepared. I didn't even know how to handle it.
Oh.
Especially when the mind battles came, I would just have to shake it up. I wasn't prepared at all.
Oh.
I just couldn't see myself without
Not
giving.
being a mother.
Yes, and I thought that was being less of a wife.
Wow.
Yes, if you can't give your husband a child, you would be less of a wife.
And so many women would go through this silently because they feel as if okay, if I'm less than a wife now, like what is my purpose?
Exactly.
Because if I can't give the man something that he wants to
Why
take
am I
on
in his
his
life?
legacy,
Right.
why am I even in his life? And I'm so happy that you said that because your husband was so understanding that you didn't have that insecurity, but many women could be faced with such an issue whereby they feel as if because I can't give him a child, so he'll go look somewhere else. And there are men who go outside of their marriage because this, especially if you get married, wanting children as a part of your foundation, wanting to build that life, and you're now faced with this issue that this might not be a possibility. So women suffer in silence, but I'm so glad, and that's why we're talking today about this, because this is not where your story ended, because we serve a God of turn around.
God.
We serve a God of turn around.
Yes.
So that being a wife without being a mother didn't have to be the end of your story, and that's what we're saying today. It doesn't have to be the end of your story.
It doesn't.
So let's talk about when you met Jesus. You know, your encounter with Jesus and coming to Jesus. Let's talk about that.
Well, while I was dating my husband, everything just moved fast. I could remember one time my mother told me, be careful, because heart love does cool fast. You know how parents are. But there was something with me and my husband. As we came together, everything just connected. Everything just started flowing. Things just started happening. And then I could remember, upon meeting this man, I started to get sick. Didn't know what was happening to me. Went to doctors. They couldn't tell me. I was just feeling as if I was losing my mind. Anxiety. I couldn't sleep at nights. Doctors would recommend sleeping pills for me. Sometimes I would wake up out of my sleep gasping for breath, as if my air had stopped. And I just didn't know what was happening to me. And then I could remember it was in November 2017, the 5th of November. It was a Sunday. And me and my husband, we went to a river line. Samantha, that day I was feeling as if I was going crazy.
Oh.
There were voices. I couldn't see. The way I was see, it was grainy. I can't explain, but I couldn't see good. And I was hearing, you are going to die. There were voices telling me that I keep resisting. I keep saying, no, I can't die and leave my husband for some woman to come and eat me. You know? And I keep looking at the women who are living.
Not today, not today.
No, and these voices just came and I was just pacing up and down. My husband didn't see it at the time. But before that, at home, he was experiencing the things that I was going through. I couldn't do certain things. I was just anxious. And then that day, on our way home, I could remember I heard a voice. Samantha, I didn't know anything about spirituality. I don't know. But I heard a voice said, this is not a medical issue. This is something spiritual. Who is that? But anyway, I heard it. And when we were almost home now, just for us to go home, to park in the car and go home, I heard a voice say, tell your husband to take you down to Pastor Clark Church. Mind you, I've heard about it. A friend of mine spoke about LMC before, about the all-night prayer. But for it to be on my mind, or for me to be thinking about LMC, it was strange. And to hear this voice telling me exactly what to do. This voice said, tell your husband to take you down to Pastor Clark Church. And if you cannot find him at the church, take you to their home. I was obedient. Because this thing I was going through, and my nose was bleeding. Where my blood pressure was going up and down. Excuse me. And doctors couldn't understand. They had even recommended pressure pills for me. And my nose was bleeding. And my husband said, okay, I'll take you. So I look at him now. I said, I know you're tired. I said, you don't want to go? If he had said no, well, I get to that. And then upon arriving at the church, I didn't know the situation at the church. At the time, it was the upper room.
So this is, we went home from a river cook, so this was in the night, and you
in
heard
the
about a
night.
church service.
Yeah.
And you
I didn't
decided,
hear about the church service.
Right, a voice told you
Right.
about a particular church.
Yes.
They're having a service, and you need to go there
Yeah.
in the night.
In
and
the
at that
night.
point, they were having an all-night service.
No, they weren't having
They're
church.
just having a Sunday
Regular
night,
Sunday night
regular
church.
Sunday night church. So you went to the church, LMC. What happened?
So as I came to the church, well, I didn't know how we call it the upper room now. I didn't know how it was situated. I just thought that it was a church, you just walk in. But I met a tall man in front of the door. So he blocked me off at the same time. And he directed me to the other door. Because if I had walked in, I would have gone straight on the altar. And at the time, I saw Prophet Andrew. He was there ministering at the time. Well, they thought that I came to disturb the church, right? So I put me there in the back now to hold on. And then after Prophet Andrew, he signaled for me to come. And as I stood before the man of God, I could remember my nose started to bleed. And I wiped. And he held this hand. He said, "You're married?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Where's your husband?" I said, "In the car." They sent for my husband. And I went through hours.
Wow.
Hours upon hours of deliverance. Thank God. Do you know that they were just about to close service?
So you were you came in just
The nick of time
in time
to find them at the church.
And so, my goodness, you felt as if you were going crazy that day.
I was going to die. The man of God, he told me that. He said, if you hadn't come that night, you would have been a dead woman.
Wow. And all you were going through as losing
These
babies,
children.
it wasn't a natural something that could have been solved by injections
Never.
or no sewing up a service, but prayer. So you went through hours and hours of deliverance. Take us through now the journey of being pregnant again.
Okay. And after that, I could distinctly remember my husband told me that the man of God said we have to wait for a while. But then it wasn't even too long because I came November to LMC. I got pregnant, I think it was January, February. I was okay. So this time now, I don't have this thing that they say I have. I am not going to take any injection. And I'm not going to do this surgery. I am going to carry this child because I have encountered Jesus. And I said, if God could save me like that,
Then
what is a child for him to keep in my womb? And I went through the pregnancy smooth.
Wow.
No bleeding,
Wow.
nothing.
Wow.
Until October. I remember my husband was born in October. So I was like, we really like this child, but I really wanted this child to come in October. And I can't remember exactly, but I know the Tuesday, October the 30th, 2018, the baby came.
Wow. So you delivered your first
baby
miracle
baby girl.
What was the experience like after having 2 miscarriages?
It was a joyful. It was free. I felt so good. And to see this pretty child, I said, "What? I never knew I could make pretty babies." I never knew. And when I look at this child in my hands, I said, "God, look at what you have done."
Goodness of God.
It's no doctor, no man. It was only God. Only God could have done something like that.
No, you're a mother of 2. 2. So what you lost, you got back.
Repaid.
Yeah, now you have 2 beautiful girls. You're still happily married. You're an entrepreneur. You have your own business.
That's right.
And you're testifying of the goodness of God. So before you leave, I want you to encourage women especially women who are married and have gone through miscarriages, or women who are, they can't get pregnant. I want you to encourage them.
So, to that wife out there, you're wanting to have a child for your husband, and you probably went through even more miscarriages because there are some women, they are 6 and so on. Don't lose hope. Jesus is the answer. Just as he did it for me, he can do it for you. And remember, you have to rise above that. And it is only by the help and the grace of God that you can do it. You cannot do it by yourself. Don't tell yourself that you can make it on your own. It is only God. It is only that encounter and that experience with Him. He's a miracle working God. The same miracle He worked for me, the same miracle He can do it for you.
Amen.
So don't give up, don't lose hope, just pray. And I will always encourage people, pray. Nothing beats pray.
Amen.
Pray, just pray, and you will see things come true.
Amen. Ashekah, thank you so much for sharing one of your
stories,
but this one I believe will bless a lot of wives out there who are searching and wondering what if can I be a mother? You can. So thank you so much for sharing your story. So guys, thank you for staying with us on this journey, on this episode of Life with a Diamond. Until my next episode, God bless you guys so much. Bye.